everybody, welcome back to the Wolf Den Library. My name is Miss Evelyn, and today we are going to continue reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is the Great Illustrated Classics version, which was adapted by Jack Kelly, illustrated by Pablo Marcos, and published by Baronet Books. I hope you enjoy it. Chapter 12, The Undead. Dr. Van Helsing, are you mad? Dr. Seward cried. I wish I were, Van Helsing said. I assure you I would do nothing to offend the memory of Miss Lucy, but if you come with me tonight, I will show you something that will prove what I say. Dr. Seward did not want the professor to prove such an awful thing about the woman he had loved, but he agreed to go. The two men had dinner together, and then set out for the graveyard where Lucy was buried. Arthur, give me a key, Van Helsing said. He opened the door of the tomb and let Dr. Seward go inside first. The flowers that had brightened the tomb were now wilted and dead. Spiders and beetles had made it their home. Dust covered everything. They found Lucy's coffin among the others of her family. Van Helsing took a screwdriver from his bag. What are you going to do? Dr. Seward asked. Open her coffin. It is the proof I spoke of. He unscrewed the lid and removed it. Inside was a sealed casing of lead. Van Helsing began to make a hole in it. Dr. Seward drew back. He was afraid of the smell that would come from the dead body. But Van Helsing held his candle down near the opening. Dr. Seward looked inside. The coffin was empty. Dr. Seward was shocked, but the professor did not seem surprised at all. Why do you think the body is absent? Van Helsing asked. Grave robbers, Dr. Seward guessed. They stole it. What else could it be? Van Helsing screwed the lid of the coffin back in place. We will see, he said. We must watch now. You take that side of the tomb. I'll hide over here. Keep your eyes open. A distant clock struck 12 as the two men waited. It struck 1, and then 2. Dr. Seward was chilled to the bone. Suddenly, though, he saw a white streak moving through the graveyard. It wove among the shadows of the trees. Dr. Seward hurried across to get a closer look. He tripped over a fallen gravestone. Then he saw the white figure again. It flashed toward the tomb and disappeared. When he met Van Helsing, the professor was holding a small sleeping child. Are you satisfied? Van Helsing asked. No, Dr. Seward said. What did I see? Look at this child, Van Helsing said. He struck a match. Dr. Seward examined the little boy's throat. It bore no mark, no puncture wound. We were just in time, Van Helsing said. They took the child to a place where a policeman would come. When they heard one approach, they placed the little boy in the pathway and went on. Tomorrow, Van Helsing told his friend, you will have your real proof. The next day they went out to the graveyard in the afternoon. All the funerals were over for the day. They were alone. Again they used the key to open Lucy's tomb. What is the point of this? Dr. Seward asked. We know the tomb is empty. Wait and see, Van Helsing said. He unscrewed the lid of the coffin. Dr. Seward was again shocked. There lay Lucy, looking more beautiful than ever. Her lips were red, her cheeks rosy. But the teeth, Van Helsing said. He pulled back Lucy's lips. They are longer and sharper than before. It is with these teeth that she has been attacking the little children. This leaves me completely baffled, Dr. Seward said. What can possibly explain it? She is one of the undead, Van Helsing said. She was bitten by a vampire and has become one of them. We must kill her in her sleep. We will ask Arthur and his friend Quincy to help. It will be an awful task, but we must do it. They left the graveyard and went home. The next day, Dr. Seward and Van Helsing met with Arthur and Quincy. We are going to need as much help as possible in what we do, Van Helsing said to Arthur. Because you love Miss Lucy, I ask you to come along, but it will be a difficult task. What are you talking about? Arthur asked. We can do no harm to Miss Lucy now because she is dead. But what if she is not really dead? What do you mean? Arthur cried, jumping to his feet. Was she buried alive? No, she is one of the undead, Van Helsing said. We have a duty to her now. We must free her soul. How can we do that? You will see. First you must see proof, as Dr. Seward here has seen proof. You must see with your own eyes. The four men met at the graveyard that night. Dark clouds obscured the moon. Dark clouds obscured the moon. But now and then they let flashes of light through. The men came to the tomb. "We were here yesterday and found Lucy in her coffin," Van Helsing said. "Isn't that so, Dr. Seward?" "Yes, that's true." They entered, and Van Helsing opened the coffin. "Tell me, what do you see?" he asked. The coffin was empty. "Where is she?" Arthur demanded. "What have you done with her body?" "Nothing," Van Helsing said. "You will see for yourself." The men went back outside. The night air seemed fresh and healthy after the damp smell of the tomb. Van Helsing closed the door of the tomb and placed garlic all around it. "Now we wait," he said. They hid in the graveyard and waited, each man afraid of what he might see. Then, through the dark, it came. A white figure, a woman. In her arms she held a sleeping child. Arthur started to move, but Van Helsing held him back. The figure came closer. The moon broke through the clouds. In its light, they could see the face of the white figure. It was Lucy. The four men moved in front of the door of the tomb. Van Helsing shined the light of his lantern at the woman who approached them. All of their hearts grew as cold as ice. It was Lucy, all right, but her sweetness had turned to cruelty. She drew back and snarled at them. Her lips were red with fresh blood. Blood trickled down her chin and onto her gown. Her eyes were red and furious. She took the child and flung it to the ground, growling the way a dog growls. The child gave a cry and lay there moaning. Lucy's lips curled back in a hideous smile. "Come to me, Arthur," she said. "Come so that we may rest together. Come, my husband, come." Her voice was as sweet as it had been in life. Arthur opened his arms and took a step towards her. Van Helsing sprang forward and held out a gold crucifix. Lucy recoiled. She ran past him towards the tomb, but the garlic repelled her. She turned and stared at the men with a look of awful hatred. Her eyes sparkled, her brow wrinkled, her blood-stained mouth opened wide. It was a look meant to kill. "Do you believe me now?" Van Helsing asked Arthur and Quincy. "Do you see what she has become?" "Yes," they agreed. "We will do what you say." The professor took the garlic from around the tomb. Lucy slipped through a crack, passing inside the grave without even opening the door. "We will meet back here tomorrow afternoon," Van Helsing said. "We will do what we must to give her rest." The three young men, Arthur, Quincy, Morris, and Dr. Seward, met the next afternoon with Professor Van Helsing. They noticed that he was carrying a long leather sack, not his usual medical bag. They went to the tomb and entered. Van Helsing unscrewed the lid of Lucy's coffin. There she lay. "She is as beautiful as ever," Arthur said. "Is it really her, Professor, or a demon that has taken her shape?" "It is her body, but it is not her," he answered. He pointed to the sharp teeth and the bloodstains. "We must all get to work. Immediately, my friend." From his bag, the professor took a set of operating knives. He laid them on another coffin. Then he drew out a stake, 3 feet long and 3 inches thick. It was sharpened at one end and hardened by fire. He also took a heavy hammer. "The undead can never truly die," he said. "They must prey on others, turning them also into undead. If Lucy had kissed you, Arthur, you too would have become undead. The children whose blood she sucks are not lost yet, but in time they will come under her spell. We must make sure she dies in truth. Then her soul will be set free." "Let me be the one to do it," Arthur said. "Tell me how. I will not weaken." "It is an awful task," Van Helsing said. "This stake must be driven through her body, and then we will cut off her head." Arthur trembled as he took up the thick stake. He placed the sharp point directly over Lucy's heart. Van Helsing began to read a prayer for the dead. Arthur lifted the hammer high and brought it down, striking with all his might. The thing in the coffin writhed. A hideous, blood-curdling screech came from the red lips. The body shook and twisted, the teeth clamped together. Arthur did not hesitate. He drove the stake deeper and deeper. Blood splurted all around. Then the body stopped trembling and became calm. It was over. The hammer dropped from Arthur's hand and he fell backward. The deed had been a terrible strain on him. "But look, Arthur," Van Helsing said. "Look at her now." There in the coffin lay Lucy as she had been in life. She was no longer a vampire. A calm light washed over her delicate face. "Thank you, Professor," Arthur said. "I know she is truly at peace now." The men sawed off the end of the stake. They cut off the corpse's head and filled the mouth with garlic, as Van Helsing instructed. Finally, they replaced the lid of the coffin and left the tomb. "One step of our work is done," Van Helsing said. "But a greater task remains. We must find the vampire Count Dracula and stamp him out. Are you men ready for this difficult and dangerous business?" "Yes," they all agreed. "And will you follow it to the end, no matter what?" Again they said they would. "We will meet tomorrow to make our plans. Once we begin, we cannot stop." And that is where we are going to end for the day. I will not be posting any videos over the winter break, so I will see you all again in January. I hope you all have a wonderful holiday break, and I look forward to seeing you later. Bye-bye.